Few players have had a more bizarre career in football than Kenny Miller. Born in Edinburgh, he came through the youth ranks at Hibs and made his debut for the first team at just 17 years old. A productive loan spell at Stenhousemuir helped develop the young striker, and he would solidify himself as a first-team player at Hibs throughout the 1999-2000 campaign, netting 13 goals in 38 appearances. This drew the attention of the then Dick Advocaat managed Rangers, who bought Miller in the summer of 2000 for a fee of £2 million. At just 20 years old, there were high hopes for Miller at Ibrox, but it was to be a disastrous season for the club as Celtic swept their domestic treble. Miller nonetheless had a decent campaign personally, scoring 11 goals in 35 appearances, most notably netting 5 goals in a single game against St Mirren in a November SPL encounter. Wanting first-team football though, Miller left the following season to join Wolves on loan in the second tier of English football. Initially a short-term deal, Miller impressed enough to have his move made permanent for a fee of £3 million in December 2001. Miller would spend 5 years at the club, though missed lengthy spells through injury. His high point may have came in the 2003 playoff final, as he scored in a 3-0 triumph over Sheffield United to help earn his side promotion to the Premier League. Wolves struggled in the top tier, with Kenny scoring just 2 goals in 25 Premier League appearances the following season, and found themselves relegated at the first time of asking. Despite arguments over the course with managers such as Dave Jones and Glenn Hoddle, in total, Miller made 193 appearances for Wolverhampton Wanderers, scoring 63 goals. Then came the most shocking move of Kenny Miller's career. With his Wolves contract expiring, Miller agreed a pre-contract deal to join Celtic, becoming only the third player since World War II to play for both Celtic and Rangers, following Alfie Conn and Mo Johnson. Manager Gordon Strachan knew this signing would divide the support, but he believed strongly in Miller's ability to make an impact. But Miller had a rough start to his spell at Parkhead, failing to score in any of his first 9 appearances. Then came September 23, 2006, an Old Firm game at Celtic Park, and Strachan started Miller up front alongside Jan Vennegar of Hesselink. Video on him coming soon, by the way. In the 74th minute of the game, Aidan McGeady slid in Kenny Miller to score his first goal for Celtic against bitter rivals and his former team, Rangers. Miller went nuts in celebration, sprinting frantically to the fans, and even thumped the Celtic badge. That was his most famous Celtic goal. However, his best performance undoubtedly came in a 3-0 Champions League group stage win over Benfica just a few weeks later. Miller scored a double and won the Man of the Match award, becoming the first and only ever player to score in the Champions League for both Celtic and the original Rangers. Overall though, Miller's time at Celtic wasn't particularly successful for him. He made 46 appearances in all competitions, scoring just 11 goals, and would leave just over a year after he arrived to join Derby County in the Premier League for a fee of £3 million. That year, under Billy Davis initially and then Paul Jewell, Derby would record the worst Premier League campaign in history, taking just 11 points from their 38 games. They won just a single league game all season, though interestingly enough, that came courtesy of a goal from Kenny Miller in a 1-0 victory over Newcastle in September. Miller finished the season as the club's top goal scorer with a grand total of 6 goals in 33 appearances. In the summer of 2008, it was time for Miller to make another shocking transfer. He was back in Scotland, but this time he returned to Ibrox. Walter Smith's side signed Miller for a fee of £2 million. Any lingering resentment and reservations the Rangers fans had would melt away on the 31st of August 2008 as Miller scored twice at Parkhead in a 4-2 victory over Celtic. Throughout this second spell at Ibrox, Miller would help the club to 3 consecutive league titles, netting 56 goals in 108 appearances. He probably hit his peak as a player during these years, and stated in 2010 he was in the form of his career. However, in January 2011, he left the financially troubled Ibrox side for Turkish outfit Bursaspor. Despite leaving halfway through the season, Miller bizarrely finished the campaign as top scorer in the SPL, with 21 goals in 18 appearances. His time in Turkey was brief. He'd actually scored against Bursaspor earlier in the same season for Rangers in a 1-1 Champions League group stage draw. He failed to settle abroad, however, and after just a few months, was transferred back to the UK to sign for Cardiff City. Again, his time at that club was brief, staying in Wales for just a season. He missed a penalty during the shootout in the 2012 League Cup final as Cardiff lost to Liverpool. In total, he made 50 appearances and scored 11 goals. In July 2012, Miller moved stateside as he joined MLS side Vancouver Whitecaps. Now in his mid-30s, Miller's career seemed to be winding down, and an uneventful 2-year spell in Canada saw him score 13 goals in 45 appearances. Nevertheless, there was still time for a third spell at Ibrox for Miller. He signed for the new co in July 2014, during a time in which they were playing in the second tier of Scottish football. They would embarrassingly finish third that year, behind both Hearts and Hibs in the Championship, and were hammered 6-1 on aggregate by Motherwell in the promotion-relegation playoff final. Things improved under Mark Warburton the following season, with Miller scoring 14 goals in 32 league games as Rangers won promotion to the top tier. They defeated Celtic on penalties in the Scottish Cup semi-final in 2016, with Miller scoring the opening goal of the game. Miller would also net in the final against his first club Hibs. However, disaster struck for Warburton's side as Hibs went on to win the game 3-2. Miller would stay at Ibrox until 2018, though it was far from smooth sailing. Regularly being hammered by arch-rivals Celtic and failing to win any silverware, Miller and teammate Lee Wallace were suspended by the club following an altercation with manager Graham Murray in the aftermath of a 4-0 Scottish Cup semi-final defeat to Celtic. Miller would never again play for Rangers. Of the incident, Miller has said, "It upset me. I never wanted to leave Rangers that way. It did hurt." From there, Miller joined Livingston as player-manager in June 2018, but after just 7 games in charge, Miller left the club. The board wanted him to focus solely on management, however Miller wanted to keep playing, so he left in August. He'd round off his career over the next 2 years with spells at Dundee and Partick Thistle. In addition to his club career, Miller also earned 69 caps for Scotland, scoring 18 goals. He scored some big goals for his country over the years, including the opener against Italy in a 1-1 draw in 2005. A sore point for Miller though is that he never had the opportunity to represent his country at a major international tournament. What can be said to sum up Kenny Miller? He may have lacked technique and finesse at times, but for every club he played for, including both sides of Glasgow, Miller always gave 100% effort and commitment. Managers favoured him for his tireless work ethic and desire, even if he at times lacked the composure to really take him to the top level. He'll be remembered as much more of a fan favourite for Rangers than he ever was for Celtic, where in truth, he isn't remembered particularly fondly at all.